NAGLREP Success, a podcast series featuring the talents of LGBT real estate agents and allies who inspire the LGBT community. I'm your host, David Cerroti. With us today is Blair Myers, who leads the Blair Myers team of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Success in Middle Georgia. Blair is one of, undoubtedly, the largest personalities in all of real estate. He is one of Inman News' most interesting people in our business. He is also the star of Nick Cannon's Oxygen show, Like a Boss. But he's also a damn good real estate agent who ranks near the top of Real Trends the 1000. All right, Blair, let's get right into it. You freely talk about your persona as a member of the LGBT community, but you grew up in Kentucky, not one of the most liberal places in America. What was your childhood like?
I would describe my childhood as good in many ways. I came from a family that my parents were married up until I was about in middle school, and that's when they got divorced, but I never knew anything was wrong because we hardly ever spoke in my family, so I never saw any fighting or anything like that. And very emotionally detached, typical Anglo sort of family setup, I would say. My mom died when I was younger, and that's affected my life and my outlook, my perspective on things, because she's the only person I ever felt really close to that I felt like really understood me. I always had acceptance support financially. My dad's a doctor. We were always well off. I never had to worry about anything like that. The main struggle was in finding acceptance within, the school, my schoolmates, finding friends, that sort of thing. I was not popular growing up at all. I was obviously, I would say, imagine this, gay. I always joke that I popped out of the womb with a bag of Skittles tasting the rainbow, and I learned very early on some people are not going to like that. And then I had to further learn that, hey, if they have a problem with it, it's their problem. And I made an active decision then, as I do now, to not let it bother me.
The taunts were pretty brutal as early as second grade.
Yeah, I remember the first time that I was called queer was in second grade. We were in the hallways. They have you file in lines and file out in the hallways. And I remember the sixth graders called me queer. And that was my first intro into the term and what it meant. I knew that I was different. I didn't know what that meant or how it would affect my life or any of those other things. I just knew that there was something different about me.
But somehow at this young age, you had an incredible focus on who you are and where you wanted to go.
I don't know about being, 8, 9, whatever I was in second grade and having that kind of incredible focus. I would say it developed over time as more or less a reaction to other people having such a problem with me and learning how to deal with that because I couldn't change other people. All I could do is change myself. I remember in high school, I was being teased my freshman year, and the guidance counselor, I'd gone to her, and she brought in the principal, and the principal told me, assimilate, be like everybody else, be more masculine, wear these kinds of clothes, act this way, change your mannerisms, change the way you walk. And something didn't sit right with me about that. Going back to, if the problem's within other people, why should I have to change? That's not right. I should be able to be myself. I'm just not going to change who I am. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be proud. And if people have an issue with me, I'm just going to focus forward and screen them out. And that's where I would say I really learned to do that, to not focus on the periphery, because that's when the teasing got more direct in my face. I remember there was a group of guys that would say, get straight. That was their thing. I mean, it's not very creative, right? It's like the most boring thing you could say, get straight. I just learned then, block it out. And that's what I've done since then. It's followed me all the way through the business. When I started the first company after I was licensed here, the broker told me, she said, you need to change essentially everything about yourself. hair, clothes, way I present myself, take myself off of a gay real estate site. I was on it wasn't NAGLREP site, it was a different site. And I said, no, that's not right. A customer had complained that I was on that site. I mean, this was 12 years ago. And she was uncomfortable with me being on that site. And I asked her, would it be any different if it was blackrealestate.com or jewishrealestate.com for another agent? And she said no. And that's when I lost respect for her, because I knew that wasn't true.
And her reaction to you fueled your future.
I would say that along with many different factors, people just not believing in me. First of all, that I could make it in this market. Some people would say, move to Atlanta, move to a bigger city. You'll do better there. I had people say, he'll get eaten alive by the rednecks, along with what that first managing broker said about changing myself and then taking myself off of gay real estate. She thought it would hurt me. That was probably the defining moment where I said, you know what, I'm going to do everything she's telling me not to do. I'm going to build an entire brand around everything that makes me unique. If other people are paying attention to me because I'm built like a female runway model, have big blonde hair, and I have a beautiful, female-like face, many people will comment on that. If those are memorable characteristics about me, then why not use those? If people naturally, notice them, remember them, use them, brand them, and market them.
Do you believe, Blair, that where you currently are in Middle Georgia, primarily the Macon area, is this a liberal area, or have you had to fight for everything that you've earned?
I still feel like I fight. I don't feel like I fight day in and day out to establish myself as the number one agent or as, viable success in this market. I've been number one here for over half the years I've been licensed. So that's established. People know my name. They know who I am. They know I'm successful. They know I listen to more than anybody else, both within and outside the real estate industry. But I do feel like I have to fight to continue to maintain the top ranking. And that's something any, agent must do if they are one of the top agents in their market. All my business does come to me. I don't prospect at all. I don't advertise or market. I don't pay into syndication sites. I don't do any of that stuff. It's all built around branding, and the business comes to me. But I still have to work to evolve the business, grow the business, respond to the business's needs. My role in the business evolves over time.
And you grew up in Kentucky. You ended up going to Transylvania University in Lexington. The day that you graduated, your father said, Blair, you're going into real estate.
Well, I'd always been very drawn to social welfare causes. A part of me identifies with homeless people, with homeless animals. Anything that is not, that I perceive is not wanted by other people or is not cared about. A part of me really responds to that. And I think that's directly in relation to, it directly correlates to me feeling like very few people, besides really my mom, besides that relationship and then losing her so early in my life, I really felt like I never had anyone else besides her that really understood me, really got me. That was my light at the end of the tunnel, whether it was struggling with school and getting through school or struggling in real estate and establishing myself in the industry and in the business. And something Michelle Obama said once, she said, instead of pulling yourself forward and not looking back, and I'm totally paraphrasing here, you must, if you progress forward and you're doing well, look back behind you and pull others with you. And that was something that really resonated with me because that's how I live my life, is it's not just about me, it's about what I can do for others. So that social welfare characteristic of myself, that quality that was there, was still there. But I wanted to be a social worker, did an internship in the field, really depressed me day in and day out. God bless the social workers because, my gosh, they have one of the toughest jobs that is out there. I had pretended to show houses when I was 9 years old, and my dad remembered that and thought that I would be an ideal fit for the field, and I was scared. I said, no, it's no salary, no benefits, all commission. I mean, that's just really scary. I want the comfort and security of steady paycheck and benefits and all of these things that come from a regular, the 9 to 5 type of work. And he said, no, you need to be in real estate. And I was like, I just don't think so. He said, move to Macon. They'd relocated to Macon when I was still in school. You can live at home. We'll pay for you to go to real estate school. And I was like, oh no, I'm not moving to Macon, Georgia. That's worse than here. I did, obviously. That's why I ended up down here.
When you got to Macon, were you shocked when that first broker told you to change?
When she told me to change essentially everything about myself, it wasn't a shock because, I'd heard that before. But I found it offensive because going back to being told that you're the problem because you're different, you're unique in whatever ways, and you're being true to yourself. You're just being you. And there's something inherently wrong with that? No, there isn't. No, everybody else needs to change. And when people have a problem with you, it speaks more to their insecurity than it will ever say about you. So when she's saying this to me, it says more about her than it will ever say about myself. And what I'll do is I'll prove her and everybody else wrong. Now, one of my greatest pleasures in life, I guess I would call it, is that I have multiple Prius vehicles now, and they're wrapped in everything Blair. Of course, I'm spray tanned out the wazoo on the side of them, on the back, on the top. I'm on the roof of the car. I'm everywhere. And I list and sell more than anybody else. I know that as those Prius vehicles drive by, as she goes through all these neighborhoods and sees my signs over and over again and sees #1 in Georgia, the Blair Myers team, I know that she's seeing everything Blair. And what I hope it does is that it shows her that you can be true to yourself and succeed so that she won't tell anyone else in the future what she told me.
Is that your sociology degree coming through?
I think that's part of the social welfare. I wouldn't say it's sociology. I would say it's that social welfare part of me that is coming through and shining, showing in that moment that I want to make a change. I want to contribute to helping people open their minds, their hearts to other people who they may perceive are different, who they may perceive don't have hope of succeeding in business unless they meet some sort of criteria or some category. Or I hope that with her or anybody else's, families, if she has grandchildren or great-grandchildren, and say one of them is gay or one of them is somehow different, unique in some way, that she will embrace that difference and realize the beauty in it rather than seeing it as a problem. I am not fitting in at all. I took everything that made me different. I built a brand around it, and it draws people to me. It doesn't push them away. It draws them to me. Most of my customers are straight married people. Why do they choose to work with me over somebody else? People are drawn to others who exhibit the qualities, the characteristics that they themselves want. They want to be around people that they want to be friends with, that they want to be more like, that they want to be associated with. That is how you can get business, by being truly authentic to yourself.
Let's come back to that who you are, which will continuously pop up when you speak to people. But first, we're going to talk about NAGLREP, which was founded in 2007. It's a nonprofit with a mission of business and advocacy and is nearing 1,500, now 1,600 national members. NAGLREP benefits offer a profile on NAGLREP.com, which receives 75,000 unique visits and is the leading referrer of LGBT clients every month. 90% of NAGLREP members close 1 to 3 deals per year through their membership. 8% close 4 to 6 deals, and 2% are closing 7 to 10 deals. NAGLREP also provides networking with a close-knit group of members and learning opportunities. And of course, NAGLREP provides its members with the capability to showcase leadership with the ability to address LGBT housing issues like the NAGLREP Housing Policy Summit at the local, state, and national levels. Listeners can join NAGLREP at naglrep.com. NAGLREP.com. Blair, let's get back to your belief that you've got to be who you are. What does that mean?
Simply that you should be authentic to yourself, whomever you are. And I've coached, mentored agents. I ask one of the first questions, if not the first that I ask them, is who are you? And usually when we work through that, they get to very boring sounding stuff like, oh, well, I'm a former Marine and I'm married and I have 4 kids and I live over here. And that's not what defines you. That's not what's going to draw people to you. That's going to make them remember you.
Well, you took a chance to get people to talk about you when you joined Like a Boss on Oxygen.
Well, it was certainly an experience. I'd been Honey Boo Boo's realtor. I'd done a cameo on their show. That was so much fun. They're the most down-to-earth, genuine people, great people. I really enjoyed it. It was easy in and out. Like a Boss was a full-time cast member position. Took a lot of time, a lot of energy. Of course, what you see on the TV show is typically about 20 to 30% of what's filmed, and the rest is cut. It takes a lot more time than people realize. And I took away, like I look at life in general, a lot of lessons that were vital to growth for me. With any experience, you can make it the best or worst. And to make anything the best, no matter how rough it is to go through it, you can always learn, and that's making the best of it. And that's what I tried to do with that experience. It did get me exposure, so that was the most rewarding part of that platform of that show, was how it drew some people to me. It inspired people, and not just LGBT, also completely straight, run-of-the-mill, there's nothing directly related to me, at least on the surface, that we share in common, but they were still inspired by my story. And that was the most fulfilling, rewarding part of doing that show.
You took that platform and added it onto one of the few true real estate brands in the agent community and the entire industry. You spoke earlier about the 2 Prius cars that drive around. You give away Blair Bomb. You give away Blair Dolls. You are a real brand. How did you create that?
I would say the brand, I realized early on, as I referenced before, was vital to proving that you can not only brand yourself around these characteristics that other people see as negative and flip them and make them assets, but I believe branding is vital. Can't get away from it. It's going to be ever more important as we continue on in this industry to the agent. A lot of times agents think they're going to brand themselves by the company. That's what they want to do. That's why they choose a big name, whether it's a local company or a franchise. They think they can't do it without that company. I always say you should be able to sell real estate wherever. The brand should make you better, the company brand. It shouldn't define you, and it shouldn't mean that you sell real estate or you don't.
Are you in your Better Homes and Garden Success office frequently?
I'm an office worker, so I like to be in the office. I do take some time out, more so than I used to. I used to practically live there. I just need a little cot, and I could just roll over and fall asleep in the cot and get back to work. The owner of the company actually gave me the nickname, The Machine, because of my work ethic. But as I've grown the team, I've outsourced and delegated more. I've learned how to choose the right talent for the team that are true assets to the group and that can really help me. I take more time away from the office than I ever have before, but I'm also, building houses now. I'm developing subdivisions, doing other stuff that is not in the office necessarily. The brand still continues to churn out all of our business. That hasn't changed. I don't paint a Zillow. I don't paint a Trillia. I don't paint a Realtor.com. I don't advertise in the real estate book. I don't advertise in the newspaper. I don't do any of those things. And yet all of my business comes to me. And that's through branding. And that's what the agent needs to do. That way you are running an independent business model. Your brand has inherent value. No one can take it from you. Whereas if you are dependent upon the company for referrals or the company brand for business, you have a dependent business model. Zillow, Trillia, or if it's, a site like Boomtown, Market Leader, any of those lead generation sites, those lead generation syndication sites, you're creating value for them. You're not creating value for yourself. So who are you? Then build your brand around that. That's what's going to draw people to you. Mine started with initially Blair Balm. My lips are always dry. I have big lips. Lots of people know my lips. They're my lips. And I figure I must have gotten them from my Hispanic grandmother because I'm not built like anyone else in my family, yet I've got this big thing of hair on my head, like an afro naturally, big booty and big lips. And I took that, my lips, and the fact they were always chapped, I found this balm I loved. I contacted the manufacturer. I said, hey, will you repackage this for me? And they said, sure, we'll do it. That's where that started. And then the Prius vehicles, I thought, instead of doing a billboard or something like that, why not buy something that's a moving billboard? And then I started doing that. And people, they'll say, oh, I see all your cars. How many do you have? They think that there's like 10 of them because they see them everywhere. That's how and of course, not everybody can do a Prius. I understand that, much less multiple Prius. But the balm was where I started. Now I have a Blair doll. I just started making things that people seem to enjoy.
Blair, not everybody has this flair like you do. Give me a couple tips that even the quietest of agents could enact to get their quote-unquote brand going.
Okay, let's get real, David. I mean, you've been in real estate for a while. Do you know any top agents that have shy wallflower personalities?
No.
Exactly. Quiet agents aren't going to do really well. You have to have a resounding personality that captures people to draw their interest. They're not going to want to work with a church mouse.
How do we take that resounding personality and blow it out and not be afraid of a brand?
I think that takes a deep exploration into who you are. And that's part of life's journey. It should be about defining yourself. And life really is a journey. The business can go hand in hand with that. And it shouldn't be about what you think other people may like about you. I just pay attention to, okay, this is me. This is who I naturally am. What are they drawn to about me? And then I'll give it to them. What is it that's going to be my passion? It's the difference you create with your life that matters. It's the people that you impact, the change that you're able to create in the world around you for the better. That's what matters.
I want to come back and talk about how you have grown your business. But first, let's talk about the NAGLREP National LGBT Real Estate Conference on October 17th through the 19th in Palm Springs. Yes, the conference is moving west after 2 years in Fort Lauderdale. More than 700 are expected to attend in the largest LGBT and allied real estate event ever. Registration is open at NAGLREP.com. Blair, we look at the persona. We see Oxygen Show. We see the cars. We see the Blair Bomb. We see the dolls. We don't see this incredible business mind. Describe your theory of growing your business, and you relate it to grabbing pieces of the pie.
Well, I learned in the recession that focusing on a niche, people always told me when I started in the business, find a niche. That's the worst advice I ever got, because when the recession happened, my niche was local builders, new construction, and their homes were not selling. What was selling? Foreclosures. Most agents didn't know what a HUD home was at that point. They had no idea how to sell a HUD home, where to find them, how to offer on them. Of course, we learned, we stayed in the business. I learned then, just like in investments, when you diversify your portfolio, what you want to do is have the pieces of the pie. That's, the analogy that I'm drawing from. I want to have as many of those pieces of the pie, have myself in as many of them, and as large a percentage of them as I can. And there are retail, residential, new construction, foreclosures, and there's all different kinds of foreclosures. Flipper investors, commercial, condos, farm and land, waterfront properties. Whatever those kind of niches are, I want to have my hands in as many of them as I can get into in as large a percentage of that business as I can get. That way, no matter what happens with the market, I'm good. I'm not going to have every piece of the pie 100%, but if I try to capture as many of those people as I can by being number one, by annoying them almost with, visions of Blair on a car, on TV, on a real estate sign, wherever they're seeing me, I just want them to see me so that they always remember that's the realtor I need to call.
How do you break into the different pieces of the pie?
You provide exceptional service. When I first started doing foreclosures, I'd never listed a foreclosure in my life. And I started researching and saying, this is who I can get into. This is who's going to be tougher to get into. I have a HUD listing contract now. Those are very difficult to obtain. But outsourcers, those are easier to get on with. So I said at that point in time, 2008 or so, that's where I'm going. I'm going to go and target, these outsource companies. Then I'm going to be the best agent, their best friend that they have ever met in the Peach State. Make myself absolutely indispensable to them. It's being the best at what you do. There's no one that can do it better than you.
Blair, we all want to congratulate you on what you have achieved already in this young career that you have. I want to encourage everyone to visit Blair at worldofblair.com, and I thank you for sharing your life, your passion, your persona, and your business savviness with all of us today. This has been NAGLREP Success, and until next time, I'm David Cerroti.